The rain was steady over London that night. A gray drizzle, soaking the cobblestones, smearing neon lights into long streaks. Jason stood under the awning of a closed tailor shop. A cigarette burned between his fingers, though he hadn't taken a drag in minutes. He wasn't a criminal. He sold used cars, fixed engines, hustled a bit on the side. But London in the 70s didn't forgive small men. Bills piled up. His wife left. His shop barely kept the lights on. Then she appeared. "Jason, you still dream of something bigger?" It was Margaret. Sharp coat, sharp eyes. A woman who always seemed to know things you weren't supposed to. She stepped close, the rain beating on her umbrella. He smirked. "Bigger, yeah, but I don't fancy prison." Margaret's smile was calm. "Not prison. Clean job. No guns, no masks, no alarms. Just a hole in the ground." Jason frowned. "A hole?" Her voice lowered. "Under Baker Street, the Midland Bank. Basement vault full of safe deposit boxes. We dig from the empty shop next door, straight into the floor beneath them." Jason chuckled at first, but Margaret didn't blink. She wasn't joking. "Think of it," she whispered. "Cash, gold, jewels. Every client in that vault hides their life away in those boxes. We take it all. Enough for you to disappear. Enough for you to start over." Jason's heart pounded. He imagined it. Money stacked, glittering stones, a way out of the mud he was drowning in. But his gut twisted. This is madness. Banks aren't holes in the ground. They've got alarms, police, bloody guards. No guards. No alarms down there. I know this for a fact. Her eyes locked on his. "You bring your mates. Men you trust. I'll bring the blueprint." Jason lit another cigarette with shaking hands. He should have walked away, but instead he asked the only question that mattered. "When do we start?" Margaret's lips curled. "This Saturday. Midnight." The rain hammered harder. Jason looked at the street, the shadows, the endless night of London. A hole in the ground, a vault, and a chance at everything he never had. He didn't yet know. Inside those safe deposit boxes lay more than jewels. More than money. There were secrets. Secrets that could destroy governments. Secrets men would kill to protect. And once the first shovel of dirt was lifted, there would be no turning back. The basement of the shuttered leather goods shop smelled of dust and mildew. Jason stood with 3 men he trusted, at least trusted enough to share prison with if it came to that. There was Eddie, quick with his hands, quicker with his mouth. A locksmith, the kind who could make any lock sing open. Then Roy, broad shoulders, ex-soldier. Didn't talk much. His fists did the talking. And finally Colin. Nervous eyes, always biting his nails. But he knew wiring, drills, and machines like no one else. Jason paced, cigarette glowing in the damp air. "We dig straight through. No noise upstairs. No slips. No bloody heroics. We're in, we're out, we vanish." Eddie smirked. "Like rabbits, only richer." Margaret spread out a blueprint across an old crate. "This is the vault. Brick walls, concrete floor. We dig from here straight in. I've arranged for police patrols to look the other way. But we must be ghosts. Not a word to anyone." Roy cracked his knuckles. "How deep?" 16 feet, Margaret answered. 3 nights of digging, maybe 4. Once we're inside, you'll have as much time as you can carry. The men stared at the lines on the paper. It looked simple. Too simple. Jason said nothing. His stomach twisted again. but his eyes burned with hunger. This wasn't just money. This was escape. Colin tapped the map nervously. And if something goes wrong? Margaret's voice was sharp. It won't. But Jason noticed the flicker in her eyes. A hesitation. She knew something she wasn't telling them. Eddie laughed, breaking the silence. Boys, I say we dig. Worst case, we come out with sore backs. Best case. He kissed his fingers like a chef. We come out kings. Jason finally nodded. We start tomorrow night. No excuses. No slip-ups. As the men gathered their tools and prepared, Jason caught Margaret staring at him. Not with warmth, not with greed, but with something colder, something calculating. And in that damp, silent basement, Jason felt it for the first time. This wasn't their job. It was hers. And he didn't know yet who else she was working for. The first night of digging was slow. The sound of shovels scraping dirt echoed in the hollow basement. Sweat dripped, even in the cold. The men worked in silence, each swing of the pickaxe chewing into the earth. Jason wiped his forehead with a dirty sleeve. Keep it steady. No rushing. Noise is our enemy. Colin muttered, his hands trembling as he adjusted the electric drill. These walls feel thicker than the bloody plans. Margaret stood upstairs, listening, chain-smoking, checking her watch. She never lifted a shovel, only watched. Hours passed. Dirt piled into sacks, hauled out through the back alley under cover of night. Eddie cracked jokes between grunts, but no one laughed. The weight of the job pressed heavier than the soil. By the third night, the tunnel stretched far enough that air felt thin. The lamps flickered. The sound of dripping water filled the narrow passage. Jason crawled ahead, brushing dirt from his face. Another foot, lads. I can feel the wall. Then it happened. A crack split through the silence. Concrete gave way too fast. Colin yanked the drill back just as the wall in front of them trembled. Dust rained down. Eddie cursed. Bloody hell. The whole thing's coming down. The tunnel shuddered. A chunk of brick collapsed, nearly crushing Roy's leg. Jason grabbed him, dragging him back as dirt spilled like an avalanche. They coughed, choking on dust, lungs burning. Colin screamed, "If this collapses, we're dead in here." Jason slammed his fist against the wall, desperate. Then he felt it, smooth metal under his hand. He froze. His voice was hoarse. "We're here. The vault." The men stared at the glimmer of steel revealed through the broken wall. The heart of the bank lay just inches away. But behind them, Margaret's voice echoed down the tunnel. Calm. Too calm. "Good work, boys." Jason turned. Something in her tone chilled his blood, because she didn't sound relieved. She sounded like she'd been waiting for this exact moment. The last blow of the sledgehammer rang through the tunnel like a gunshot. Steel bent. A final crack and the vault wall gave way. The men crawled through one by one. Their lamps cut across the dark, revealing rows of safe deposit boxes, shining like silent soldiers. Eddie whistled low. Jesus Christ. It's all here. Gold, diamonds, bloody fortunes. Colin's hands shook as he pulled out his tools. Locks first. Quietly. One box at a time. Jason's chest heaved. For a moment, all the hunger, all the struggle, felt worth it. He imagined cash stacked high, glittering stones, a future without debts or shadows. The first box snapped open with a click. Eddie grinned, pulling out bundles of notes wrapped in rubber bands. He kissed them. "We're rich, boys. Rich." More boxes fell open. Gold watches, pearls, thick envelopes of cash. The vault filled with the sound of greed, panting, laughing, the rustle of money. But then Jason saw Margaret. She wasn't touching the jewels. She wasn't even looking at the money. She went straight for a tall black box, tucked high on the wall. Her hands shook, just for a second, before she pulled it down. She opened it slowly. Inside, Jason caught the edge of folders, thick with papers, stamped with government seals. Jason frowned. "What the hell is that?" Margaret snapped the lid shut. "Nothing you need to know." Roy's voice was low, suspicious. "This wasn't just about money, was it?" Margaret's smile was thin, sharp. "The money is yours. This belongs to me." Jason stepped closer. "Margaret, what's in those papers?" Her eyes hardened. "Things that don't concern you. Things that will keep very powerful men awake at night." Eddie laughed nervously. "Who cares? We're rich. Let her take her bloody papers." But Jason didn't laugh. His gut twisted again. He saw the way Margaret clutched that box. Tighter than gold, tighter than diamonds. Then a sound froze them all. A thud. Another. Heavy boots on the floor above. Voices muffled through concrete. Roy whispered, "We've got company." Jason's heart slammed in his chest. They weren't supposed to be here. No alarms. No guards. No one. But someone knew. And they were already inside the bank. The vault went dead silent. The men froze, money clutched in their hands, as heavy footsteps echoed above. Jason whispered, "No alarms." "You said no bloody alarms." Margaret's face stayed cold. "There weren't supposed to be." Then metal screeched. The vault door. Someone was opening it from the outside. "Lights out," Jason hissed. The men killed the lamps, plunging the room into thick darkness. The vault door groaned. A shaft of pale light cut across the floor. Shadows spilled in, 3 men moving with precision. Not cops. Too quiet. Too sharp. One of them spoke. Calm. English accent. Clipped. "We know you're in here. Put down the tools. Step away from the boxes." Roy gripped a crowbar, whispering through his teeth. "Not police. These bastards move like soldiers." Jason's pulse hammered. Whoever they were, they weren't here for money. They were here for Margaret's black box. The leader's voice cut again. "Last chance. Surrender, and walk out alive." Silence. The air choked with dust and sweat. Then Eddie, ever the fool, shouted back, "Go to hell!" Gunfire exploded. Muzzle flashes lit the vault like lightning. Bullets ripped into the steel walls, sparks flying. The gang hit the ground. Roy roared, swung his crowbar, and slammed into one of the intruders as he burst inside. A struggle. A scream. Blood sprayed across the money-stained floor. Jason scrambled, grabbed the fallen man's revolver. His hand shook. Then he fired. Once, twice. A shadow dropped with a wet thud. The vault echoed with chaos. Eddie screamed, clutching his arm, blood pouring from a bullet wound. Colin cowered, fumbling with a pistol he barely knew how to use. Margaret crouched low, clutching her black box, eyes cold, calculating. Not afraid, just waiting. Jason pressed against the wall, heart pounding. He fired again, the blast deafening in the steel room. Another man fell. The last intruder ducked back, firing wildly before retreating. Then silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. The vault floor was slick with blood. Eddie moaned, writhing. Roy's face was pale, jaw clenched. Jason turned to Margaret, voice raw. What the hell was that? Who were they? Her answer came slow, deliberate. Not police. Not thieves. They're cleaners. Sent by men who can't afford these papers to be seen. Jason's stomach dropped. This wasn't a heist anymore. This was a war. And somewhere above, more footsteps began to echo down the stairwell. The stairwell groaned with new voices, boots hammering down the steps. Jason's chest tightened. The vault was a coffin now, filling with enemies. Move, he barked. Roy grabbed Eddie, half dragging his bleeding body toward the tunnel. Colin scrambled behind, shaking, clutching a pistol too loose in his hand. Margaret didn't move. She hugged the black box to her chest like it was life itself. Jason grabbed her arm. We leave. Now. Her eyes burned through him. If I lose these papers, we're all dead anyway. Bullets punched through the vault door. Sparks showered the floor. The metal buckled. Jason shoved her toward the tunnel. Then you'd better keep up. They crawled fast, dirt crumbling around them, the air tight as a grave. Eddie whimpered, blood dripping onto the soil. Behind them, gunfire roared through the vault, shouts echoing down the tunnel. Faster, Jason hissed. The lamp flickered, shadows twisting across the walls of dirt. Colin slipped, almost dropping his pistol. Roy pulled him forward, gritting his teeth. Then Jason froze. Up ahead, faint light poured into the tunnel from the shop's basement. Their exit, but a silhouette blocked it. A man, waiting, gun in hand. Bloody trap, Jason whispered. The man raised his pistol. End of the line. Roy snarled and lunged, dragging his crowbar through the dirt tunnel like a blade. He swung hard, smashing into the intruder's arm. The gun fired wild, the shot deafening. The man screamed, dropping his weapon. Jason leapt, slamming him against the wall, fists raining until the body went limp. Silence, only their ragged breathing. They scrambled out into the basement, gasping for air. Jason slammed the trapdoor shut, shoving crates over it. But Margaret wasn't looking at the trapdoor. She pressed her ear to the ground, whispering, "They're not stopping. They'll keep coming. They won't leave without these papers." Jason grabbed her by the shoulders, fury in his voice. "What's in them? Tell me." Her eyes finally met his, cold, sharp. Files, photos, names, ministers, lords, even the royal family, affairs, bribes, murders, the kind of secrets that topple kingdoms. Jason's stomach turned. He saw the blood on his hands, Eddie's pale face, Roy's clenched jaw, and he realized this job had never been about money. It was about survival. Outside, sirens wailed in the London night. But Jason knew they weren't just police sirens. Someone far worse was closing in. The night air hit them like ice. London's streets glistened under rain, slick and empty. For a moment they thought they'd made it. Then headlights flared. A black sedan screeched to a halt across the road. Doors flew open. Men in long coats spilled out, guns raised. "Run!" Jason roared. Roy lifted Eddie onto his shoulder, grunting under the weight. Colin stumbled after them, clutching his pistol like a toy. Margaret kept close, the black box chained to her arms. Gunfire tore through the street. Glass shattered. A street lamp exploded overhead, showering sparks. Jason fired back, bullets echoing off brick walls. One gunman dropped, another kept coming. From the other side of the block, sirens wailed louder. A police van careened around the corner, tires screaming. Blue lights flashed, but instead of stopping the gunman, the cops opened fire too, straight at Jason's crew. Eddie screamed, "The bloody coppers are in on it." Jason's heart pounded. It wasn't just criminals. It wasn't just police. It was both, all hunting the same prize. They ducked into an alley, rain splashing underfoot. Bullets ricocheted off the walls. Colin tripped, firing wild, the shot echoing down the narrow lane. Jason dragged him up, snarling, "Move or you're dead." Roy spun, firing back. His revolver clicked empty. "I'm out." Jason yanked him forward, teeth clenched. Their only chance was distance. Keep moving, vanish into the maze of London streets before the net closed. But Margaret wasn't running blind. She shoved Jason toward a side door, iron and rusted. She pulled a key from her coat and jammed it in. The lock snapped open. Jason froze. "You had a key?" Her voice was ice. "I told you, this was never about the money." They spilled inside, an abandoned warehouse, shadows swallowing them whole. Rain drummed against broken windows. Jason pressed his back to the wall, gasping for air. Outside, engines roared. Boots pounded. They were surrounded. Margaret set the black box on a crate, snapping it open. Papers spilled out, photos, letters, files stamped top secret. Jason stared, his voice low and raw. "You've killed us all for this." Margaret didn't look up. Her voice was calm, almost proud. "No, Jason, this box won't kill us. But the men it belongs to, they will." Outside, a megaphone cracked the night. A voice shouted, cold and commanding, "Give us the box, or none of you walk out alive." Rain hammered the warehouse roof like drumfire. The voice outside barked again, sharper this time. "Last chance. Surrender the box." Jason's crew huddled in the dark. Eddie lay pale, blood soaking through his shirt. Colin shook uncontrollably, gun slipping in his sweaty hands. Roy's jaw was steel, ready to die swinging. Jason turned to Margaret. "You wanted this box. Now look at us. Half dead, cornered, hunted." Margaret's eyes were lit with something dangerous. "This isn't about us, Jason. With these papers, I can bury them. Politicians, police, even royalty. This city rots from the top down. I can burn it all." Jason's voice was cold. "And what do we get? Graves?" Outside, gunfire ripped through the air. Bullets punched holes in the tin walls, sparks flashing inside the warehouse. Jason snapped, "They're coming in. We choose now." Roy grabbed a steel pipe, teeth bared. "We fight." Eddie groaned weakly. "Fight? We can't, we're finished, mate." Margaret loaded a revolver she'd kept hidden all along. She met Jason's stare. "Give me cover. Get me out alive and I'll cut you in. Money, papers, a future." Jason froze. Something inside him broke. He finally saw it clear. Margaret never cared if they lived. They were tools, shovels in her hands. The side doors blew open. Men stormed in, guns blazing, coats dripping with rain. Chaos exploded. Roy roared, swinging his pipe, smashing into the first attacker. Blood sprayed across the concrete. Jason fired until the revolver clicked empty, bodies dropping in the flashes of gunfire. Colin screamed, shooting wild, then a bullet tore through his chest. He fell, gasping, eyes wide. Eddie's breath rattled, then stopped. Margaret bolted for the back door, clutching the black box. Jason saw her silhouette in the rain, running for escape while his friends bled into the floor. "Margaret!" he roared. He grabbed a fallen rifle, aimed through the chaos. His finger trembled, and then he pulled the trigger. Her body jolted, the box slipping from her hands, crashing open on the wet concrete. Papers spilled, pages fluttering like dying birds into the rain. The gunfire slowed. The men outside saw what fell, the secrets they came for, scattered across the ground. In that heartbeat, Jason ran. Through the smoke, through the rain, through the corpses of his crew. He didn't stop, didn't look back. By dawn, the papers were gone. Burned, buried, hidden. So were the bodies. The newspapers wrote it off as a botched robbery. A gang of small-time crooks who got greedy and paid the price. But Jason knew the truth. He carried it like a curse. They hadn't stolen from a bank. They'd stolen from the crown. And some debts you can never pay.